John is trying to say, boy, what's so important is that you master the text in its biblical context. And but of course, there's other things to do. And you say, well, partly because of your own background, I said, boy, understanding the historical context, the linguistic context, really important. I am one of those people who tends to put I have so much concern about application, as you know, and how this impacts the way, forgive me if Kathy sees that she hates using the word impact as a verb, how it has an impact on how we're living now. And then I will have a tendency to do my exegesis a little bit more quickly and spend most of my time figuring out the application. What I need to always do is, I'm good at it, but I need a Piper to sometimes remind me I should be spending more time thinking about the text in its biblical context. Or a Carson, any scholar, saying, look, you've jumped to application too quickly. You really haven't understood the text. Our temperaments are such, or maybe our backgrounds are such, that it's almost impossible to be as balanced as we ought to be. In fact, we can balance each other. And if we listen to each other and we don't think any one of us has hit it just right, I mean, it sounds a little bit maybe wishy-washy, but you guys discipline me. When I read your stuff and listen to your stuff, it disciplines me and makes me say, a lot of people like the way in which I preach to modern culture, but I really need to I need to learn from other people who I think do some aspects of biblical preaching better than me.
Yeah, and that's why I tried to give the model of not going from there to the text too quickly.
Right.
To start with people out here and bring them into the biblical world so they can see how it's working, and then come back out to it. And you do that almost intuitively, usually you don't spend a lot of time in your sermon going line by line, phrase by, but on the other hand, you get the heart of the issue pretty fast.
But there's a danger.
There is a danger, but on the other hand, you have got into the biblical world, and then you've come back here.
When I was a younger man, since we're talking about age here, when I was a younger man, I think I sometimes did that irresponsibly. What's happened is, over the years, for 10 years I preached 3 times a week. And I've preached through, after all these years, I've preached through almost everything. And over the years, you finally cumulatively start to figure out what all these texts really do mean. In the early days, I was too quick to try to find the psychological or cultural application. And as time goes on, I'm now a better exegete, but I don't think I started that way.
Let me wrap it up like this, because I think this question is over. We started with the book here. Would you say that, I'll say what I say and see if you say amen, the legacy I want to leave with the guys studying at our little school now is not merely, or maybe even mainly, Piper's uniquenesses, like God-centeredness or Christian hedonism or whatever. It's utter devotion to the particularities of all of the Bible. If these guys would go forward with that, then I don't feel like I need to hang around to make sure they get everything right.
Get my thing right.
Because then there is potential for being, I was going to say self-correcting, but that's not quite the right word. It's self-corrected under the authority of the word correcting them. Otherwise, the dangers become multiplied again and again and again, that the current fad, we start bouncing off the Scripture in order to sound prophetic, and what we've actually lost is the actual control of Scripture.
No,
I agree with that.
I certainly say amen, because when you do push something like God-centeredness or enjoying God or gospel-centeredness, you are always usually trying to correct some imbalance you see in the church. And the danger will be that your disciples say that's what it's all about, when actually this is what it's all about. So I agree, that's the legacy. Amen.